The book I'm recommending is Blankets, written by Craig Thompson and published in 2003. It's a memoir of Thompson's childhood growing up in Wisconsin in a very strict Christian household. It's a coming-of-age story, but it's also a pretty intense love story about his first relationship with a girl named Raina. Because of his upbringing, Craig has an interesting relationship with God, which is explored throughout the novel. His Christian faith and relationship with God is like an obsession, and this obsession is evident throughout the novel, whether through hidden symbols or more obvious ones, like the one shown here. In this image, Craig spreads his arms to allow Raina to put on his coat for him, and he's confronted with a reminder of his faith. I think this kind of symbolism expresses Craig's dilemma of remaining close to God and becoming closer to Raina. Craig's obsession with God slowly becomes replaced by his obsession with this girl, Raina, his muse. This panel takes up an entire page, which is a technique Thompson uses throughout the story. The fact that there's a panel within a panel, that Raina's face and breath are separated from her body and heartbeat, could open up an endless amount of discussion if you were to teach this in class. Why does Thompson divide these two images, and why is one panel white and the other black? Another thing to note about this image is Thompson's creation of visual sound. I think this is one of his strongest points as an artist. You see Raina's breath and you see her heartbeat, but you can also feel it and hear it. These are just a couple more examples of how Thompson creates visual sound through his artwork. He does this beautifully, and it's not just the sound that he's able to convey, he's also able to show his emotions through these drawings and make the reader feel the emotions as well. I think he does this better than any of the graphic novelists that we've read so far. One review for the book, Blankets, referred to it as visual poetry, but it's also written poetry. He writes, "And the sounds wove into a rhythm of hushed orchestration, spiraling me into a slumber." It's beautiful writing, and Thompson doesn't simply rely on his drawings to tell the story and to convey his emotions. He's also a poet, and I've noticed that in many of the graphic novels we've read, the beauty of the written word is kind of lost, and a lot more effort seems to go into the artwork. But with Blankets, it's different. Not only is the artwork enchanting, but the words make the reader feel something too, and isn't that the point of literature? Thompson seems to understand the mechanics of a graphic novel really well. This is just one example of how he creatively but still smoothly transitions from one image to the next. One moment we're seeing a staticky Barney on TV, and the next moment that static has become the stubble that Craig is shaving away. I'm not sure which of the 6 panel-to-panel transitions Scott McCloud would classify this as, and I could be wrong, but these transitions seem to encompass a few of McCloud's categories, possibly moment to moment, subject to subject, scene to scene. In this novel, Thompson experiments with many different techniques, and I feel like because of this, Blankets is a unique and original graphic novel that we as readers could learn a lot from, but also that other graphic novelists could learn from as well. This is another image that shows Thompson's experimentation with graphic form. This panel could easily be split into 2 or 3 different panels separated by gutters, but Thompson chooses to mesh the scene together so the reader only views one large image. Raina lays on her bed while Craig sits on the floor beside her, but the floor has instead become something else, maybe the sky or a cloud, and at the bottom of the page snow begins to fall. Then there's the cutaway image in the center of the panel, which is a technique I don't remember seeing in any of the graphic novels we've read so far, though I could be wrong. I might have just missed something or forgotten. But anyway, the scene with no gutters, yet 3 different transitions, is very inventive, and I think it can be read or understood in a lot of different ways, which is great for both discussions and critical questions. So I think blankets would be a great addition to your syllabus for future classes, not only because it's both beautifully written and drawn, but also because Thompson experiments with the form of the graphic novel, and he experiments with transitions and with the representation of sounds. And also the story itself tackles topics that could open up a lot of room for discussion. Also, it's a fairly quick read. Because of Thompson's heavy use of full-page panels, the book is really thick, and it might be fun to freak your students out by putting it on your next syllabus.